All right. Let's go ahead and get this live stream on the road. Today we are going to be playing the political process. The political process finally got updated for the official version of the game. So let me actually look through the. So this is a major update. This is a major update for the political process. This is the first. I clicked so fast when I got the Discord ping. I bet a lot of people do. But yeah, this is the first major update for the political process since, let's look, it's been a while, since December of 2020. So, this is going to be very interesting. I'm going to be looking through the patch notes while we do this, and while we do that, we need to start a brand new game. So unfortunately, we cannot go back to our, let me turn the music down a little bit. 199 ping. Thank you so much for donating $1.99 to this live stream. So with any update, there's a real chance of files getting corrupted. This is going to cause a black and white empty screen with starting the game. If you experience this problem, you can visit the forum for instructions on how to fix it. It's recommended you start a new game once this version of the game has been downloaded. This update makes many changes to the election mechanics, which will likely create a congressional imbalance in any games saved prior to this update. Generally, this occurs in the form of Democrats not being able to win a majority in House or Senate. Starting a new game is the best option to avoid unbalanced elections. If you continue to play your old save game without unbalanced elections, you can choose to continue playing the older version of the game by right-clicking on the game, blah, 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 blah. It kind of tells you. So we're going to be looking through the additions, but what we're going to do, we're going to switch this over. Can we switch this over? Yes, we can. And, all right, let's go ahead and get the show on the road. I have 3 monitors with this live stream, so it's interesting to have live streams now. I actually like having 3 monitors for the amount of stuff that I do. Did you watch the New York City mayoral debate tonight? I did not. I actually did not know there was a mayoral debate going on. So let's go ahead and start a new game. Let's go ahead and pick. So Democrat or Republican? What is y'all's suggestion for our character? Where should we start? What should I kind of present him as? What are we going to be dealing with here? Besides Power and Revolution and the political process, have you played any other geopolitical simulator PG? I am actually about to get a code for Suzerain. I am actually very excited to preview and make videos for Suzerain on my channel, so I definitely look forward to some Suzerain coming in the near future. I actually got a email from the company that makes the game today, and they asked me if I'm still interested in having a. They actually asked me if I'm still interested in getting a what do you call it? A code for Suzerain. So yeah. So definitely do look forward to some Suzerain. Quinn Barry, Morris Upton. Let's go ahead and do Frank, Glover, Baldwin, Elwin, Russo, Ram, Frank Russo, Frank Darwin, Frank Rogers, maybe. Democratic conservatives from Kentucky. I want to get Democracy 4. Democracy 4 looks really interesting and way better than the third one. For some reason, the third one never caught on with me, so that's why I never played it. Frank Walker. Yeah, let's do Walker. Walker always sounds like a strong name. Carlos, Marv, Dustin Walker. Yeah, let's do Frank. We're gonna be 26. Walker is my last name. That's funny. So what are we going to be? We're going to be a Democrat or we're going to be a Republican? Republican in Vermont, Democrat from Alabama. Do a conservative Democrat. All right, so should we be a conservative Democrat? Just as a line basis, do we want a conservative? Do we want a conservative Democrat? Do we want a liberal Republican? So we can get into places like Washington, California, Oregon, Illinois. Fiscal liberal, social conservative, conservative Democrat. All right, looks like we're going to be doing conservative Democrat. A lot of people have asked me to do a conservative Democrat in the past. Oh, we have a new thing. All right, let's do a conservative economic. We're going to be fiscal conservative, social liberal, fringe. All right, so this is policy impact. It's a brand new feature. I've never seen it before. This menu shows how much impact each policy will have when voters decide how to vote. Policies have a different impact based on the type of the election. None. This indicates that the policy will have no impact on a voter's decision. If a policy is not listed, it has no impact. Small. This has a small impact and will usually not change results of the election on its own unless it is a very close election. Medium. This could influence the outcome of the election, especially if the election is close. And large, this will have a significant impact on the election results, especially during primary elections. Changing just one policy in this category would change the election's outcome. All right, so for school board elections, we have a school choice as a large impact. So these are city elections, state elections, and federal elections. Small impact is a lot, so we actually have universal preschool. Universal preschool is actually now a small impact. What about no impact? We actually do not see that. What's going on, American Predictions? What's going on, Person? What's going on, Big Fat Fart plays GTA? What's going on, Jadance? What's going on, Jesse? Dude in Michigan. I think I've done Michigan before. City elections. All right, so randomize. So we already did that. History. We're going to do studied political science. Between 2006 and 2011. South Carolina. For $5, he wants me to do South Carolina. Should I do South Carolina? What else should we do? Yeah, just because you gave me $5, that counts as a commission, so. We can do a 1-up. We can donate money to this man's let's go ahead and get some donations rolling in for this guy's political campaign. We're going to be running. It's going to be a very expensive campaign. Try to win Cal Cunningham's seat. All right, let's go ahead and do... What else? I like the detail these guys' pasts. Let's say political analyst for Media Corporation between 2011 to 2015. Let's do traits. Let's actually randomize. Simple, stoic, blunt, intelligent, and timid. Yeah, I could go ahead and go for that. And advanced. Let's do $500,000 for his savings. Let's do 100 political points. Initial name recognition would be... We're gonna do 100,000 because a lot of people know his name. Because he was a political analyst, so he was on a lot of different, he was on a lot of different, what do you call it, types of, media, interviewing and stuff. How old is this guy going to be? I forgot. He's 26 years old. Alright, let's go ahead and go forward. We're gonna go ahead and do South Carolina because Mr. Person gave me $5 to do South Carolina. Definitely is room for us to improve. We have the ability to get in at the statewide level. And to pick what county we're going to be going in. 43, 41. We could do Charleston County. Charleston County could be a very interesting place. What else do we got? We got Lexington County, Richland County, Spartanburg County. South Carolina looks oddly competitive. It is oddly competitive. Gojo Gaming, welcome to the live stream. Yeah, I think I should do. I think I should do Charleston County. Charleston County. Joe Cunningham, or I thought it was Cal Cunningham for some reason. Joe Cunningham, former United States representative. He was from the 1st district, so yeah, that's going to be in Charleston County. So yeah, we're going to do Charleston County. And we're going to be doing the city of Charleston. Would have preferred the state just south of South Carolina, but this is okay. You mean Georgia? You talking about Georgia? Sorry, I have to go. I'm going live on TikTok. Yeah, I should get a TikTok, shouldn't I? Would you guys subscribe to my TikTok if I ever made one? Charlie Stun. Okay. The music is so depressing. Yes, it is. No, South Carolina. I hope they fix the economy problem. Per capita income goes down for no reason. I wonder. Alright, so school district, state house 115, state senate 43, and congressional district 1. So that is going to be the seat we're going to be running for. We actually have a little bit of room to be able to win this seat if we do go for the federal level. Mitch Gold, he looks amazing. Let's go ahead and pick him. so we have endorsements, we have events, fundraise. So we're gonna be watching the primary elections. All right, let's go ahead, and since we finally got into the game, we're gonna be looking through some of the changes that have been made to this game. So it says added new election mechanics. There are no more factors that influence elections. These election factors can be adjusted in the advanced settings. Add an option to endorse candidates during primary and general elections. Added an option to campaign with any endorsed candidate rallies and fundraisers if the endorsed candidate has lower political points than your character. Added an option to do limited marketing for any endorsed candidate. Events with endorsed candidates will increase their likelihood of winning their election. Marketing for endorsed candidates will events and marketing for endorsed candidates will increase their likelihood of winning their election. Added an option to campaign with endorsed candidates even when your character is not running for election. For instance, during a midterm election while your character is president, it is now possible to skip appropriation bills as president without receiving a pop-up forcing a vote on the legislation. Currently, it only searches... Wait. It's added a search function to the game. The search button can be found at the top of the screen next to the icons. Yeah, I see that. It only searches active politicians for a match. This might be improved in the future. Added a save load process for campaign saves. Advanced option presets, so the file sizes are smaller. Added a treasury option to the advanced options, so now it's possible to change the school, city, state, and national treasury values at any time. Added campaign funds to the profile tab so that the player can see their campaign funds at any time and not just during campaigns. That is an awesome addition. Added a button to skip time in office. This allows you to skip multiple turns at once. If you do not hold a political office and are not participating in a campaign. Added new policy positions to the marketing menu. Added new policy positions to the policy polls. Added an analysis advice button to the campaign overview that gives you simple analysis of the election and some advice on how to win. We will look at that whenever we get into a campaign. Added new marketing types for experience and traits. This isn't fancy, but it adds an additional method for influencing voter enthusiasm, which is useful if you can't attack an opponent's policies because they're too similar to yours. Added an option to view politician details for the election results page, and added an option to require the player elections to have opponents. By default, it's turned off. It can be turned on in advanced options. And it looks like that was it. Rate that up. And let's go ahead and look. That's why I wanted to play Georgia and the fact that it's competitive state now. First live stream, no cap. What the heck does no cap mean? I'm saying no cap. I don't know what these Zoomers are saying. So should we run for mayor? I think we're gonna run for house. Yeah, we're gonna run for house. I'll just go ahead and make that assumption right now. Not really interested in... So we're gonna be using the skip time feature. State senator and senator has decided to retire. Could we go straight for senator? No cap means no kidding. Oh, okay. Yeah, no. The reason that I was not able to do any live streams and I've just kind of like held back on some of the content that I've supposed to have been making. I got sick. I ended up in the hospital. It wasn't the best time. You know, I had to miss work. I wasn't able to post everything, you know. Let's go ahead and see. All right, so we have the primary. We're going to be watching the primaries, just kind of see what they look like. I also really like that they have maps now. South Carolina is the primary that takes place right before Super Tuesday. Go for Senate, then President. Apparently everyone's telling me to go for Senate. Go for senator. Go for senator. Should I go for senator? Wait. Canada has to be at least 30 years old to run in this election. That restriction has been removed in this game. So to be realistic, should I wait to run for Senate? Should I go for the US House and then go for Senate? You should at release. See, yeah, I know the be realistic. So I'm gonna go for House, and then in the future I will go for Senate. So because I am not 30 years old at the time, I'm 3 years too young. I'm 3 years too young to run for Senate. Make a birth certificate that's 4 years older. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. No, I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, so should I go for U.S. House or should I just go into state representative, or should I go for U.S. House representative? Well, actually, I'm gonna go for the open primary. So I would go for state senator, state senate. State Senate or U.S. House. We got 2 and 2 right now. 2 U.S. House, 2 State Senates. Got 3 State Senates, 2 U.S. House. I'm gonna leave a dislike because PG actually thinks the election wasn't stolen. He is brainwashed. No, I just like to think for myself. I don't like the... I entertained the election conspiracy. I entertained it, you know? But... still no proof. So... this is a Democratic streamer. Huh. Wow. I'd love to debate you. I would absolutely love to debate you if you're up for it on this topic. I am free after this, so if you're free to debate, I would like to. Give dogs the right to vote. Absolutely. Alright. I'm gonna go for U.S. House. We're gonna go for U.S. House because someone actually made a comment. Makes sense that because South Carolina is majority Republican, I wouldn't be able to get much done. He's conservative, I believe. I am a populist. I'm a right-wing populist. That is how I identify. Obviously, Johnny Applesauce. I don't want to waste brain cells debating you. Alright. If you're not up for a discussion, then... don't bring negativity into my live stream. If you're not going to... Dominic Bricker, I appreciate it. Thank you. But for Johnny Applesauce, I mean... don't bring negativity in here if you're not going to have a discussion. If you're just gonna come in here just to be negative... that's not how you do it. So, don't bring negativity into my live stream, or else you would be removed from this live stream. Go ahead and do a second priority. We're gonna do infrastructure, and we're gonna... wait, what? Improve road quality. Okay. Try to go a whole series without changing your policies to win elections. Alright, that's actually a really good challenge. I appreciate that. What are we running for? We are running for the United States House of Representatives. Johnny Applesauce, again, I would like to have a VC debate with you. Again, if you're free to do it afterward, join my Discord, and I will have a discussion with you. I like to have discussions. So you're saying the election was borrowed? What are you saying is borrowed? Discord is? There's going to be a Nightbot that's going to post a link. Click that link and create a Discord account. Discord is essentially something to where you can have direct discussions with me. Yes, it is free. It is free. It's basically the best way to kind of like have discussions. I've been using it for years. I stayed away from it for like the longest time. I'm losing the Democratic support here. Would love to join in on that debate as a moderate left-winger. I don't want to get deleted by big tech. Just don't. Discord is pretty good because they don't sit there and like censor you all the time. It's basically up to the people that run the servers. I kind of want to listen. No cap. Everyone joined the Discord. The link just posted. Join the Discord, and me and someone can have a debate. I love to have debates. I love to have discussions. Some voters believe you were too young for this position. Apparently that goes into play now. Election advice. By running ads for policy positions that are supported by a significant majority of your party's voters. What state are you planning in? South Carolina. So we have New Hampshire and Iowa that just happened. Let's see, South Carolina. South Carolina. Joey Connolly won South Carolina. We got a Nixon running. Len Nixon. We may not win this election. We have no... what we need to do, but I don't have the money. Conduct a poll. Policy support, priorities. Frank Walker, 54. We have the highest, about tied with someone else. Voter enthusiasm. We have about the highest, tied with everyone else. Healthcare, economy, and education. So let's go over to here. Let's do health, economy, and education. What kind of computer do you have? I have a custom-built computer. You should sometimes just do a stream of Political Machine where you just take audience suggestions and do an AI-only battle. I watched your stream today, but I need to get the Political Machine, honestly. Political Machine and Democracy 4. Those are the games that I need to get. Hey, Charleston County. Super Tuesday, let's look. Elections, federal. Joe Connolly and Barney Rounds are now the designated winners of the 2020 presidential nominee. And Republicans have selected theirs, and Wade Owens has won. He may be the only one running. He may be the incumbent president. Yeah, he is the incumbent president. Thoughts on this special election in New Mexico? After seeing how the results ended up, it's kind of like a moderate view for the Democratic Party. They didn't. They did basically. They overperformed themselves, by about 1.5 points, more than 1.5 points. So I think a lot of people on the right overhyped that election, as sometimes they always end up doing. So I mean, it's kind of doesn't tell us that much about what's going on. Voter intention 7,000. Let's look. We're probably not going to win this election. Oh my God, we are. We actually might win this election. Yeah, the Republicans definitely overperformed in the Texas 6th election, but in this one, like, neither one really did outperform the expected results. They kind of just did okay. Like, the Republicans didn't overperform as from what their results were in 2020. They actually underperformed and did worse. But the Democrat only outperformed Deb Haaland and actually basically only pulled in about the same amount that Joe Biden did in 2020. So I think in New Mexico 1, that's the thing about New Mexico 1 is that Democrats basically have like a cap of about 60%. They're probably never going to be able to get above 61% within the next couple of election cycles. Really, I'll definitely make that assumption in 2022, but it's not exactly the most exciting thing. You should probably more conservative on social issues, but more moderate, liberal on economic issues. Now, let's do the election. We're very likely going to win this. Yeah. Yeah. Right, so this is going to be an uphill battle for us. We have a struggle out of us. Opponent has a larger base of supporters. So this is actually a swing district that we are in. Overperformed Biden's margin by 10 points. No? Well, statewide, I'm not talking about statewide. I'm talking about like in that district that Deb Haaland won in that district. So we should be able to start pulling in more money. Yeah. Pulling in a good amount of money. Let's do poll. Voter intention. So we're gonna have to... Yeah. No, the Democrat definitely did not do better than Deb Haaland. They actually, well, they did outperform Deb Haaland's margin by about a point. They didn't overperform it by 10. They overperformed it by 1. What, like less than 2. So, introduction. Can I not contact them all at once now? Yeah, so we're getting like a ton of money from the congressional Democrats. Okay, so Holland won 58.2 to 41.8. Stansbury won 60.3 to 35.7. The Democratic candidate only got 1 to 2 points more of the vote, but the Republican underperformed Holland's opponent by 6 points. Okay, so I kind of see that now. Personal funds. See, $400,000. Finance. Let's do trainers, staff, finance. Alright, so Politics Gaming, do you think Big Chunk is still funny? Absolutely. What do you think on your state's voting bill? Do you support it or are you against it? I'm gonna have to read a little more into it, but I'm not necessarily against it. I do believe that there should be a little bit more constraints. I don't think that people should be able to just. I personally feel like that people shouldn't get like vote by mail. You know, if they're ready and able to go themselves. The argument against that is basically that people are just like, people are like, well, I mean, you like, they have to miss work or something like that. I personally wouldn't think it would be the worst idea to make election day a federal holiday. Let's do that. That wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. But then at the same time, you know, I think that people should just be a little more educated instead of just saying like, oh, I can vote from home. That probably would still turnout would still probably slump, even if that was the case. Because it's like, oh, like, because some people literally don't do their taxes until like the very middle of April. And you expect that, what, they're gonna take like the 20 minutes that it takes the same amount of time to vote that it does to do your taxes. At least for a lot of people. Sometimes you actually have to do all this stuff and deductions. Sometimes you hand it off to another person because you pay them to do that. But I don't know. I've been physically able to vote myself since I've been able to vote in 2016. I voted in the 2016 presidential election. That was my first election to vote in. So, I don't know. Personally, I don't think that we should get vote by mail. Mainly because I believe that we should be able to, you know, have people go out and vote themselves. Alright, this might be a close one, so... But we might not win. We might not. I think... PG, do you think Democrats have a chance at winning the governorships in 2022 and would Beto O'Rourke or Julian Castro be a stronger candidate statewide? I don't think either of them would be a strong candidate statewide. You know, they're liked in the area that they came from. Julian comes from San Antonio, and Beto comes from El Paso. But overall, statewide, they wouldn't be the best candidates for the Democrats to throw. And I personally believe that if Matthew McConaughey runs, it is game over, because the Democrats and the Republicans are going to be losing so many voters that it's going to be an extremely exciting election. All right, let's do this. I think whether I win or lose is, I'm going to go ahead and call it quits because I'm starting to get tired. Do I really not have any money? Finance, 19,000, no. Dang. All right, let's go to the next day. It's gonna be close. You're kidding. Huh. Huh. Wow. I didn't expect to win that election. You want to watch the presidential election? Yes, I do. They win in Maine. They win in Ohio, North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania. Yep, Wade Owens is going to be continued to be the current president of the United States. Great, and he actually wins in Nevada too. 217 electoral votes. Why is voter turnout always so low in the Beta LMAO? I actually don't know. Your campaign has gone into debt? Into what? How much money do I have? Campaign funds, 33,000. I went into debt? Yeah, can't wait until comprehensive campaign finance comes to the political process. Alright, so we've been streaming for nearly an hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it quits here. Wow, we have 30 people watching. Jesus Christ, why is there so many people in this live stream? Kinda don't want to go now. Alright, we're gonna go through a whole year. Like half a year. Since there's 30 people watching, I'll go ahead and continue. I'm just a little tired. Socially conservative Democrat. We're going to do the moderate Democratic coalition nomination process for the Speaker of the House. We're not going to throw our hat in the ring. We're going to say yes to this guy. And we're going to vote for the Democrat. Before I go, I'm going to go ahead and step away for a second, and I'll be right back. So give me like 2 seconds, and by 2 seconds I actually mean like 30 seconds to a minute. All right, I am back. Say no. 0 votes for the other guy. We have nearly 30 people watching this live stream, so go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I would like to see us hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of July. Can we hit 5,000 subscribers? I don't know. We need to get in the Discord and debate after this live stream. Well, again, I would like to debate. Say no. What state are you doing? South Carolina. I'm surprised you're streaming this late. So am I. Johnny, you're basically saying... Hell, I'll have you on right now. You're gonna have to get on Discord, but I'll have you on right now, my guy. PG probably secretly opposes Gomez and likes the teacher. I don't even know the teacher. How would I like him? How would I like the teacher whenever I have no idea who the teacher is? Johnny, okay, let me say this. Come on. Come on. If you're gonna sit here and just cause problems and you're not gonna get on for a discussion and you don't want to debate me, don't waste your time. If you're gonna sit here, Reagan was the best president in history, alright? You are uneducated, my guy. You are very uneducated for you saying that Reagan was the best president in US history. He was probably one of... He's like a C at most. Reagan was not great. He was not great. And FDR was not the best. Reagan and FDR, you guys are stupid. You're not stupid. I'm just poking at that, but hell, I'll do a. Oh my god, I have an idea. Okay, hey guys, guys, I'm gonna do this. I am going to do this. I'm gonna go ahead and save this right now, and I'm gonna do a presidential tier list. South Carolina. So we're gonna call that the South Carolina Democrat. I'm gonna do a presidential tier list before I go. I've been wanting to do one of these forever. Create your own. Reset. All right. So we're going to do this. We're going to do browser. We're going to transition over. So you guys are going to see me do a presidential tier list. All right, let's go ahead and start off. I'm going to try to do this. We're going to do this in order from we're going to do here. You're going to do it from first to 46th. Well, 45 actually. Oh, I don't see Biden anywhere on here, so it's going to be 45. All right, so George Washington. We're going to put George Washington at a solid. We're going to do him at a solid S. Military commander. He was the father of the nation, first president of the United States. A lot of people. I feel like putting George Washington in the S tier is a little bit overused, but that's at least my opinion. Very good military commander, first president, father of the nation again. Second president of the United States. We're going to do. I'm gonna pull up a list real quick because just off of the top of my head, I can say most of them in order, but I also sometimes forget. So I'm gonna have a list with me. Good thing I have 3 monitors. All right. So second one is going to be John Adams. John Adams. John Adams. John Adams. John Adams. Where is John Adams? Aha, there he is. All right, John Adams. Essentially, John Adams. He's kind of more of the forgettable president, at least in my opinion. He is a founding father. He actually did a lot in the terms of his presidency. He helped negotiate as a diplomat, he helped negotiate a peace treaty. But during his reign, he was actually the first Federalist president. And he actually was a part of the institution of the Constitution, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and give John Adams. Okay, I lost John Adams again. John. Where is he? Okay, I seriously cannot find John Adams again. I'm a little. Okay, so here he is. I'm gonna go ahead and put him at like a. I'm gonna put him at a C. C is kind of like the guys that you really kind of don't remember, but also they had an impact. Yeah, he's not a B, but he's also not a D. So I'll go ahead and put him at a C. A lot of these guys are going to be going into the C column. All right, Thomas Jefferson. He wrote the Constitution. He wrote the Declaration of Independence. He was a very interesting guy. He was also a part of the Revolution of 1800. I believe that Thomas Jefferson. I think one of the biggest mistakes that he did was the embargo. There was actually something with the embargo. Yeah, the Embargo Act. Because of the British impressing, they called it impressing American sailors. He also signed the Alien and Sedition Act, but he was a very formidable vice president. He was a secretary of state. Very, would you call it? Uh, I would say he's a pretty smart guy. I'm gonna go ahead and put him into the B column because he had an impact. He had a very large impact. He was also one of the first guys to start talking about republicanism, and he was one of the guys that spearheaded republicanism in the United States, and also helped form the central government that we have today. So I'm gonna go ahead and list Thomas Jefferson as a solid B. In my opinion. James Madison, I'm not much of a some of the first presidents I don't necessarily know. Especially with like the earlier it goes, I need to do a little bit more research before I actually make my own tier list video. Let me go ahead and find James Madison. That's Monroe Madison right here. I'm gonna go ahead and put him in the C column. Let's go ahead and look real quick. He was a founding father. He's hailed as the father of the Constitution. So okay, so he was actually the father of Constitution. Um, Maybe for that he could be in a solid B with Thomas Jefferson. Um, a lot of these right wing channels are Democrats. I was a former Democrat. Everyone says dictatorships are bad, but if they're not communists, I have no problem with them. Oh, so you're fine with dictatorships so long as they fit your view. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so going on, James Monroe, absolutely great guy. He presided over the several years of relative peace. They called it what was the name of that time that he actually presided over? It was the era of good feelings. His was contemporaneous with the era of good feelings as the Federalist Party collapsed as a national political force. As the president, he signed the Missouri Compromise, which ended up leading to the Civil War. But in foreign affairs, Monroe and Secretary of State John Quincy Adams favored a policy of conciliation with Britain and a policy of expansionism against the Spanish Empire. He secured Florida and established its western border with New Spain, and announced the opposition to any European intervention in recently independent countries of the Americas with the Monroe Doctrine. It's actually why I list him as an A because he was presided over the Monroe Doctrine. Solidly for the era of good feelings and the Monroe Doctrine, he is a solid A in my regard. John Quincy Adams, we'll go ahead and put him into the C column. Very kind of forgettable president. Not nothing of uh, uh, relative uh, remembrance, I guess, the best way to say it. And don't take all of this to heart if you're going to be offended by this list. Whatever. Where is Quincy? Quincy. See, I'm a little tired, so I'm not able to see a face whenever I pass it. Where is Quincy? Is this Quincy? Yeah, I think that's Quincy. Let's go ahead and put him there. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, okay. So that is Quincy. Andrew Jackson is going to be a very controversial guy in American history since he was president, and also hundreds of years later. I believe that Andrew Jackson would be a solid B in my regard. The Trail of Tears was definitely a I would say mistake, but he fought against corruption. He kind of like helped us get out of the corruption. He paid off the entire national debt of the United States. Um, in a lot of ways was a very good president, but a lot of people only because if you're only looking at the Trail of Tears, you're not really looking at everything else that he did. And he also did a lot to preserve the union at the time, but as the presidencies kind of started trailing in, that's whenever a lot of the preserve the union attitude kind of started going away and they started messing up a lot more. um uh, but let's go ahead and continue on. I believe after Andrew Jackson it's going to be Martin Van Buren, so let me find Van Buren real quick. Van Buren, Van Buren, Van Buren. Haha. So Van Buren, let me look real quick. Van Buren was kinda. Let me look real quick. Um, Anti-slavery. He stood against slavery. He was one of the first presidents that stood against it. He kind of was more of a, I believe he was actually the first Whig. He was a Whig whenever he was president. He got elected on the Whig ticket. Um he actually was very much against Andrew Jackson. Wait. Johnny Applesauce was my alt. Oh my god. Oh my god, AFM. Whatever. Just follow the list as their list and not by presidential order. I like to go by presidential order. I'm gonna go ahead and say that Van Buren is more of a C. Unfortunately, he was the first guy to be born in the United States after the Revolution, but he's not necessarily the most memorable president. And again, that's why I have C, is because I'm putting a lot of people who are more, not necessarily the worst, but also are kind of forgettable because they did have an impact, but didn't have the biggest impact in history. William Henry Harrison, I'm gonna go ahead and put him in. Where is Henry Harrison? Henry Harrison, where are you at? Haha. So I'm gonna put him at a D. He was literally in office for 30 days. Oh, Van Buren was a Democrat, so he was actually okay. So Jackson was the first Democrat. Van Buren was a second Democrat. He was actually Van Buren was actually the vice president of the Jackson administration, and so he got elected afterward. Um, and then Henry Harrison came in. He was the Whig, so I was actually kind of right. Um, Henry Harrison, he literally died 30 days after he got into office. So very, very forgettable. I mean, hell, he could probably go into the F tier, but yeah, I'll go ahead and throw him into the F tier because I mean, it's not because he was a horrible president; it's because his impact was literally 30 days. So he was actually succeeded by John Tyler. John Tyler is going to be right. I think that's a Pierce. So that's Pierce. We have Tyler. Where's Tyler? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just go by top. So okay, George W. Bush. I am going to throw you into the I'm gonna put you into the C tier. C tier. I'm gonna say this. I have more of a personal vendetta against George W. Bush because Bush is a very cool guy. His personality was actually very good, interesting. Um, he's the last president, a Republican president, to win the popular vote as of 2021. But the war in Iraq, Afghanistan, the economic decisions leading into the crisis of 2008, he just was not a good president, but he had a very solid personality. Um, So I personally I kind of like him, but I also have a lot of sticks against him. James Buchanan, I'm going to put him into the D. He tried his best to quote unquote preserve the union, but he also did horribly to preserve the union. And then his after he left office, by the time he left office, several southern states had left the union. So that in himself, he failed to preserve the union because they had elected Abraham Lincoln and he was not able to stop the Union from collapsing. So, James Buchanan, absolute D. He was not necessarily the best guy to look to whenever it came in terms of preserving the Union. Jimmy Carter, we will put you into the C tier. He had a very solid personality, but also had horrible economic decisions, and what saves him for me is his actions that even right before he left the White House, January 20th, 1981, he was working for every minute on the phone trying to get the hostages out of Iran. So I believe that Jimmy Carter is a very solid president, but his impact led directly into the election of Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan, we will get to him. Nixon was based because besides Watergate, I agree. So we will get that. We will get to that whenever we get to Nixon. I believe this is James Garfield. James Garfield. No, that's Chester Arthur. I'm gonna go ahead and put him in the D tier because he's not that. I don't think Arthur was much of a. Uh, I don't think he was much of a rememberable president. He was in office for an entire term since well, he actually was inaugurated on September 19th, 1881, and he was just James Garfield's vice president. So after James Garfield died, he actually took over. But again, I don't know much about Chester Arthur, and his impact on history, wasn't ripples. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him into the D tier. We have Grover Cleveland right here. This is the first and only president in United States history until 2024. Could it be? He's the first president and only president to be elected twice in two separate terms. He ran in the 1888 election. He lost to Benjamin Harrison and then ran in the election after that in 1892 and won the election. So technically, we have 45 presidents, but we have 46 presidents. Why is that? Because James or Grover Cleveland ran twice in two separate occasions and became president in two separate occasions. So technically, he's the 22nd and 24th president of the United States. Now, what about policy? Grover Cleveland might end up becoming a C, but he was also he won the popular vote for three presidential elections: 1884, 1888, 1892. So 1888, he actually won the popular vote but lost the electoral college. Let me look. So his intervention in the Pullman strike of 1894 to keep the railroads moving angered labor unions nationwide. In addition to the party in Illinois, his support for the gold standard and his opposition to free silver alienated the agrarian wing of the Democratic Party. Critics complained that Cleveland had little imagination and seemed overwhelmed by the nation's economic disasters, depressions, and strikes in his second term. Even so, his reputation for probity and good character survives the troubles of his second term. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Cleveland would end up being a D tier because of just with he has pretty solid support with the gold standard. I like presidents that had support for the gold standard until it was removed by Nixon. God dang and Nixon. Um, but let's go ahead and go on. We're gonna go ahead and make a very controversial decision right here. Bill Clinton, I'm gonna go ahead and put into the B tier. B tier, I'm gonna put Bill Clinton there because Bill Clinton came in at a relatively bad time for the United States. We were in a recession, the worst recession since 1987, and also something that could have evolved into a 1930s depression. But we didn't do that. Now, he controversially did an omnibus spending project where he increased taxes on the on people and then lowered spending, which ended up cutting the deficit in half by 1997. He was also the very first president that, in a long time, under his administration between 1993 and 2001, he was he presided over the longest economic expansion in American history. He also presided over a national surplus in which the debate of the 2000 election was what to do with that surplus. We had a $300 billion surplus by the time this man left office. Say what you want about him, say what you want, and a lot of people might say, "Oh, well, I mean, now you're a Democrat." Blah 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 blah. I don't know. I mean, Bill Clinton was a pretty solid president. He had a solid personality. He made a mistake while he was in office, but his economic record was pretty sound. So I'll go ahead and put him into B tier. Give him the benefit of the doubt. I won't be putting that many Democratic presidents in a B tier. This man right here, absolute A tier, chattiest president we've ever had. This man did nothing for an entire term, and he presided over an extremely strong economic expansion for the United States by doing nothing but sitting in office and leaving after one term. Who is this man right here? That is my man, the one and only Calvin Coolidge. Calvin Coolidge, again, presided over, kind of like Bill Clinton, he presided over one of the best periods of economic expansion for the United States, which that economic expansion ended up resulting into the direct election of FDR in 1932. But you have to give this man credit where it's due. He didn't do anything. He actually didn't do anything. And by not doing anything, I'm saying he didn't do anything to screw it up. Obviously, there was a lot of things that were made during a lot of decisions that were under his administration. But I will say that Calvin Coolidge does deserve an A for his economic record, mainly. Herbert Hoover, I'm gonna put him into the C tier. He actually did things that was needed, but he didn't do enough because he was one of those laissez-faire kind of presidents. But he picked one of the worst times to do laissez-faire, mainly because of the economic depression that came during his administration. And he basically said, I'm just gonna kind of like try to see if this kind of corrects itself. And I actually understand why he would say that is because you don't want to intervene in the economy and make it worse or something because you have the chance of making it worse whenever you have the government intervene. He was one of the Republicans that came in and didn't want to uh make it worse by making the wrong policy decision, and that was a very big possibility under his administration, but he ended up making very bad decision on that part. I will actually throw him into D tier because of that, because I'm actually kind of doing a lot of these off of economics, so I'll go ahead and throw him into D tier mainly because of that economic record. Going on, absolute S tier right here. My man, my boy, Ike D. Eisenhower. absolute best man that we have ever had. I will actually list him ahead of Mr. Washington. Now, Ike is one of the best military commanders that this nation has ever had since George Washington. This man, and there's going to be another military commander that I'm going to throw into the S tier, but you wait. Um, Ike presided over the invasion of mainland Europe during World War II and led the United States to victory in that war. And he was actually one of the first presidents to have used TV in order to win the election. He actually did political campaign ads in the 1952 election. There's actually a really interesting video that I've seen from that. It's like a "You like Ike, we like Ike, everybody likes Ike for president." It's actually really catchy tune. Um, I got gifts, so now I have more money. You should donate to me. But anyway, I think you guys get catch my drift on Mr. Ike. So we will continue to go on. Let me go ahead and look. This guy right here is William Howard Taft. I'll go ahead and throw him into the B tier. He was actually a very solid Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. So he's from Ohio. I think he was he's like a from the birthplace of presidents. um Secretary of War between 1904 and 1908, and he also let me look. I don't know. Yeah, I'll actually go ahead and put him into the C tier. Very solid Chief Justice, but his presidency wasn't exactly something I would yearn for. He actually got destroyed the 1912 election. So I'll put him in a C tier, not too good, but not too bad. But going on, Millard Fillmore, I'm gonna put him into the D tier. Very forgettable. A lot of people probably have never heard of Millard Fillmore. Um, this guy right here, Gerald Ford, I'm gonna put him into the B tier. With actually, let's go ahead and put him into the C tier. And the reason for that is because I believe Gerald Ford did everything that honestly, if I was in that position, I would try to do. He's doing something because a lot of people had lost faith in the presidency, into the intelligence agencies, into the government, mainly because of someone that I'm going to put higher than him. And he did that because he felt like it was right at the time. I believe that Gerald Ford was a very good president because he did what he thought was right, but those decisions ended up costing him the election in '76. But I think he was a pretty solid president. I think he was a very solid president. My man, absolute. I got a lot of got a lot of my men here. But my boy, Mr. Ulysses Grant. I love the name. He's gonna go into the S tier. He's gonna be right behind Mr. Washington. Ulysses Grant is my favorite president. One of my favorite presidents because of his name, because of his experience in the Civil War. He led the Union to victory, and he led a very interesting campaign for president. He actually was one of the other presidents that tried to seek a third term but didn't, mainly because of the two-term uh what do you call it? They call it a tradition. I can't even speak. He was a very interesting president. He also worked with the radical Republicans to protect African Americans during the Reconstruction era. He also, one of the biggest things about him is that he was really kind of like allowed corruption to happen. Didn't really do anything to stop corruption, but his work in the Civil War and his work as president was very solid. He was actually behind the creation of the Justice Department, the Department of Justice, the DOJ for the United States. So very solid president with Mr. Grant. This is Warren Harding. I'm gonna go ahead and put him into the C tier. There again, not very good, but also not very bad. He was right after Wilson. So Wilson, then Harding, then Coolidge, then uh Hoover. So it was Coolidge. So it was 198. There was an election in 1920, which was Harding. Oh, okay. So it was Harding, and then his vice president was Coolidge. Coolidge took over after Harding, and then he didn't run for election in 1924. No, he did. And then Hoover took over in 1928. And then, okay. So I got the timeline right. Going on, we have Rutherford B. Hayes. I'm gonna put him into the D tier. He's not exactly one of the. Let's go ahead and look real quick. Rutherford B. Hayes. He actually got elected in one of the weirdest ways possible. It was called the Compromise of 1888. It was one of the most or 1876. It was one of the most contentious elections in U.S. history. He lost the popular vote to Democratic candidate Samuel J. Tilden, but won an intensely disputed electoral college vote after the Congressional Commission awarded him 20 contested electoral votes in the Compromise of 1877. This compromise was a backroom deal where the Democrats acquiesced to Hayes' election on the condition that he withdraw direct federal support for Reconstruction in the former Confederate States. So yeah, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and rate him as an F for that regard, because him basically saying, if you guys make me president, I will pull federal troops from the South. So that was a very stupid concession, because we had troops in the South for a reason, because we knew that in between, like, if we pulled troops out of the South, then they were going to uh suppress the rights that a lot of people had under the Constitution. They ended up doing that for the rest of the time until the 60s, 1960s. So because he basically made a concession, and he also was elected and awarded the presidency. He wasn't elected to the presidency, he was awarded the presidency. This is Andrew Johnson. Johnson, I'm gonna put into the D tier. I'll go ahead and put him into the F tier, mainly because of his stupid decisions, because he basically betrayed Abraham Lincoln. He basically betrayed Lincoln. He basically um ended Reconstruction because he didn't want to fight with because he didn't want to deal with the Democrats. Because if I believe that if Abraham Lincoln had stayed in the presidency, he would have done a very good job in his second term. But Johnson betrayed Lincoln in that regard, and he was supposed to carry on the legacy of Lincoln. He did not do that. So because of that, I will rate him as an F. John F. Kennedy, I will put as a B. His work with the civil rights organizations, his work to kind of help people that were being disaffected, and then also just his personality. I actually really like his personality. He was a very interesting guy. Jack Kennedy was, I wouldn't say one of the best. I think he's overhyped by a lot of people, but I'll go ahead and leave it there. I believe that is who is that? That is Garfield. I would go ahead and put him in a D tier. You know, very forgettable president. Don't even know that much about him. Lyndon Johnson, I'm gonna put into the C tier. I actually would have him up in the A, but just kind of like doing a little bit more research. JFK also stayed cool in the Cuban Missile Crisis. He did. Yeah, some of the he knew he made a mistake with the Bay of Pigs invasion, but he pretty much played off the Cuban Missile Crisis. So I'll give him a B because of his decision making. Very good decision making for him. Lyndon Johnson, I'm going to put into the C tier because he did a lot for the civil rights of America. He did a lot to sign, after the Selma riots. He basically came to Congress and said, "What are we doing? What are we doing? We need to do something right now, or else we're going to go into a civil war." And I believe Lyndon Johnson was essentially a very good person, but he also saw the political opportunity. He did it because of political opportunity, because he knew that if the Democrats started supporting civil rights, that they would be a very good contender for future elections. But then he made a mistake. The Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was a very big mistake on Lyndon Johnson's part, and I absolutely think that he makes a C tier. If he didn't make the mistake that he did in Vietnam, he'd be up probably at a B, maybe an A. But he makes a C tier mainly because of his involvement with the Vietnam War, his reactions to a lot of the rioting. 1968 was a prime example of this. The year 1968 makes him a C tier. Abraham Lincoln, very solid president. I'm actually going to go ahead and put him into the S tier. He did a lot. He made a lot of good decisions during the Civil War. He did a lot to preserve the Union, even though the Union was fractured by the time he came into office. He did a lot to preserve the Union. He made a lot of good military decisions. He made a lot of good appointment decisions, and he led the Union to victory by the end of his term. Fortunately, after he was elected for a second time, he was unable to see himself through, and he was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth in April of 1865. It's a very unfortunate scenario, but hopefully, I believe that he does deserve an S tier, mainly because he came in whenever the Union was breaking apart and collapsing, and he put it back together, and he won the war. That is Benjamin Harrison. I'm going to put him into the D tier. Very forgettable. That is William McKinley. I'm going to put him in D tier. Forgettable. Ended up getting assassinated about a couple of months into his presidency, I believe. He actually, now that I think about it, got assassinated into his presidency, but he also won the Spanish American War, even though he got into the war because he felt like it, and also there was something called yellow journalism. I'll go ahead and put him into the C tier. Richard Nixon, solid A. Why is Richard Nixon a solid A? I believe that Richard Nixon, yes, he did make a mistake with the Watergate scandal, but the Environmental Protection Agency. He also pushed for civil rights. Let me actually pull up a couple of direct examples. Richard Nixon. One of my favorite, his Secretary of State was a very amazing dude. He also was elected into one of the most violent presidential elections in American history. He he established the EPA. He ended the war in Vietnam. He established détente with the Soviet Union and China. He also had one of the smartest foreign policies of any president in the United States. Literally, there is a policy that during the Nixon administration, they called it the madman theory, and that this man literally advised every other consulate for every country that we were enemies with and said, hey, we are, if you do not listen to us, and if you do not give us favorable terms at the Paris Peace Accords, then we will use nuclear weapons against you. They said that to the Russians, they said that to the Chinese. They even told the Vietnamese that if you do not do what we want, we will use nuclear weapons against you. So I believe that Nixon was a very smart man. He knew what he was doing. And honestly, there's a lot of comparisons that people make between Richard Nixon and Donald Trump. I do believe that there are a lot of comparisons between them. But yeah, I believe that his foreign policy makes him an A. Absolutely makes him an A. Was he playing TPP earlier? Yes. I just wanted to end off with this presidential tier list. It's going to throw a lot of people off, but I apologize. Barack Obama, I'm going to go ahead and put into the C tier. Very good personality. I loved his personality, but he's going to be a very controversial man in the next couple of years because he didn't really do that much. You know, he led us out of a recession. He got the unemployment rate down by the end of his administration, but his foreign policy was god awful. You know, you could say a lot of this stuff about him, but his foreign policy ended up screwing over the United States. And we'll get to Donald Trump and we'll talk about his foreign policy. But Obama, honestly, you know, his economic record was pretty sound. A little bit too much regulation, but his foreign policy would probably make him a D, in my opinion. George H.W. Bush, I'll go ahead and put into the C tier. I believe that George H.W. Bush, you know, he won us the Iraq War. He got us. He did good. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh well, he raised taxes with the omnibus bill of 1990. Yeah, like I mean, he was kind of forced into it because you know, with the years of the Reagan economic policy that everyone liked, he was kind of forced to. And we're gonna get the Reagan. We will definitely get the Reagan. But I believe that George H.W. Bush was a very good president culturally. I really liked his personality. I believe that he did what he thought was good, and he even said it at the debate. He said, like, you know, I made a mistake, and I apologize for that mistake. Ended up screwing him over, and Ross Perot ended up getting like 20% of the vote in the 1992 presidential election. So very solid personality, but it didn't save him in the end. Franklin Pierce, I'm gonna put into the D. Very forgettable. Didn't where's hang on. John Tyler in here somewhere? Did I put John Tyler in? Is that John Tyler? I think that's Tyler. I thought it was Pierce. That is Pierce. Where's Tyler? That's Polk. Tyler. Tyler. Huh. I don't think Tyler's in this. That's kind of interesting. I like how they have Millard Fillmore, but I don't have John Tyler. Isn't he between Reagan and Teddy? No, that's Zachary Taylor. Yeah. So they have Pierce, they have Taylor, they have who's that? Polk. So okay, so Pierce. Let's go ahead and continue going. So we just figured out that John Tyler, because I wanted to say something about John Tyler. That's disappointing that Tyler is not in this, but we have Pierce. We're gonna go ahead and talk about Pierce real quick. Um, Signed the Gadsden Purchase. It failed. He tried to acquire Cuba from Spain. Kind of forgettable, but he also took part in the Mexican American War. Wasn't too effective, but I won't say too much about Pierce. And while we're on the Mexican American War, I'll go ahead and put Taylor in there as well. Pretty good commander whenever it came to the invasion of Mexico by the United States. But he died like about a year into his presidency. Nothing too fancy with him. Not the most out there, I guess. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. You're going into the D tier. Why am I putting him into the D tier? In my opinion, I don't know if a lot of people are going to agree with me on this. I believe that his economic policies ended up extending the depression for another 5 years than it should have gone on for. I am not an economist, but honestly, I believe that Franklin D. Roosevelt was a very interesting guy. I don't think that he was good economically, but also he deserves the D tier because of his actions during World War II. He made good military decisions, but he threw hundreds of thousands of Japanese Americans into concentration camps. While we liberated Germany, while we found what was happening in the camps in Germany, we were putting people into the same camps. And that was Executive Order 9066. So how can FDR sit there and say that, oh, because someone attacked us in our little ship harbor in Hawaii, that means that we should throw hundreds of thousands of people who are probably not even spying on you. Probably, I say probably, like 99% certain. And if they were spying, it's a very small contingent. But that was the ignorance of the time. Belongs in F category for staying in president far too long and ruining our economy by forgiving all the debt. That's actually, thank you for reminding me about that, Lauren. Yeah, he stayed president for way too long. He did what he could. I'm putting him into D tier because he did win the war for us. He did do what he thought was right. But he after the 19 what was it 40 election, he should have stopped at 1936. He shouldn't have kept on going. But I digress. Um that is who's this? Oh, this is Polk. So Polk, we'll go ahead and put into the C tier. He actually won the Mexican American War for us. Um Annexed Texas. So pretty good president overall. He won a war. He annexed the new state, the largest state acquisition since the Louisiana Purchase. Um, and yeah, and that's basically it on Polk. But let me go back to FDR for a second. Another thing that's good about him, it would probably make him like a C minus, like a low C, but high D. So I'll leave him in D. He negotiated the end of the war before he died. He was going to the Tehran conference. He went to the Yalta conference. He went to um he went to all of these different conferences to where they were negotiating saying, "Hey, this is what we're going to be doing after the war." So, I give him credit for that, but the Japanese Americans being in office way too long than he should have, and his economic policies that ended up, in my opinion, extending the depression longer than it should have. That was very interesting and bad, honestly. So that makes him a D. Ah, man, Ronald Reagan, you're going into the D tier. Ronald Reagan, honestly, is a very good public speaker. He was a very good president, but his economic policies led us into the recession that ended up getting Bush ousted because Bush didn't, Bush didn't just raise taxes and then we went into a recession. It was because of the 8 years of very bad economic decisions that were made under President Reagan. Reagan is a very good guy personally. I love his jokes. He was a very good actor, but you have to see that Reagan was he was very colorful. I don't know. I have to whenever I go back on this, this again, take all of these opinions with a grain of salt. Maybe I can do something like this in the future. More refined and everything a little more shorter instead of me going on for 20 minutes. But yeah. Uh Theodore Roosevelt, solid A, honestly. I mean, like the writers, San Juan Hill, uh Robin Williams. I don't know. Like he actually I respect him. Like I absolutely my way of saying it is that we need to Teddy Roosevelt the crap out of the conglomerates that we have today. He broke up the monopolies. He led America through one of the greatest progressive expansions in history. Very solid president. I would give him an A. We are going to move Donald Trump to the end and we will talk about him at the end. Harry Truman, I'll go ahead and give him a B because he made the correct decision. And this is going to be a big indicator on me saying uh Truman ended the war the way it needed to be ended by blowing up two entire cities in Japan. The biggest thing about that, and I hold this as a very big decision because if he had not decided to drop those bombs, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, honestly, we would have risked tens of millions of lives without that. Because if we decided to not drop the bomb, then we would have lost more than 1 million American troops in Japan alone. How much did we lose in World War II? We lost 400,000 troops in World War II from what we had now. But if we invaded Japan, we would have lost another 600,000 to 1 million troops just by invading Japan. And we also would have seen a split Japan like Germany because the Soviets would have invaded as well. So I'm going to give Mr. Truman a good B tier for that. He also, started the Truman Doctrine. He basically kicked off the Cold War because he believed that the Soviets were about the like. He also was a part of the domino theory. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give him a beat here. Let me look real quick. This is who is this? Is that Tyler? Is that Tyler? Anyone recognize this man right here? Let's go ahead and do Wilson real quick. We'll figure out who this man is. Maybe that is Tyler. Oh, yeah, I'm stupid. Why do they have an old picture of Tyler? Why? Why do they have such an old picture on Tyler? This is Tyler. Oh my god. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about Tyler real quick. All right, so John Tyler. This is the guy I wanted to talk about. I was like, why do they not have Tyler in here? All right, so Tyler was a very interesting guy because he was actually the guy that led us to annex Texas. It was John Tyler, and then it was also who was it after him? It was I'm forgetting the name now. It was God, I'm so stupid. James K. Polk. Okay, James Polk. So John Tyler is actually the guy that basically negotiated the secret annexation of Texas. And then so whenever the 1844 election came up, that's whenever Polk was campaigning for the annexation of Texas. So I'll put John Tyler just because I'm a little biased because he made my state a state. Um, I'll put him into the C tier because he kind of like, pretty solidly negotiated between Texas and the United States and then got Texas to become a state. So I'll put him into the C tier. Not too bad, but also not the worst. All right, so I'm gonna put Mr. Wilson into the D tier. So the D tier, I'm going to say that I'm putting him with FDR and Wood and Wilson. Wilson and FDR are going together. Wilson presided over one of the most racist parts of American history, and he was the president of the United States at this time. Never have we had a president before or after Wilson that was so openly racist than have we had in during this time. I put him into the D tier instead of the F tier because of his leadership during World War One. Like, thank you so much for becoming a plebeian. Um, but he led us through World War One. He kind of kept us out of it for a little bit, saying, don't really want to do anything, but if we have to, we have to. And he ended up getting us into the war, and he committed a substantial amount of forces instead of just saying, "Oh yeah, we're into war," and then not send anyone there. How do you become a plebeian? Hit the dollar icon, at the bottom, and there should be a way for you to become a member. Yeah, it's a membership, so it's basically you pay a monthly fee, and that money comes to me. It's basically the best way to become a member. So, guys, if you want to become a member, it gets a little cool icon next to your name whenever you go into live streams and comment. So, I would say become a member. Um, but yeah, Wilson, kind of bad. I just don't. I don't like him personally. I believe that Wilson, he did great to help us out of the war, but he failed in foreign policy. He got us into the war, He won the war, even though we barely got into the war by the time it ended. Um, but I don't know. I just don't necessarily feel like he was a great president. Also, he was the president that presided over the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Not the 13th. What was it? It was the 16th Amendment. It was the 16th Amendment. Let me look. Was it the 16th Amendment? Let me pull up my constitution real quick. We're gonna end this live stream right after we get done with Trump. So it's going to be 14, 15. Yeah, 16. So I was right. 16th Amendment, passed by the Congress July 2nd, 1909, and ratified February 3rd, 1913, under the Wilson administration. Was it? Yeah. See the dollar sign, but I cannot find membership. Really? Should be there. You see the dollar sign, but it's where you're allowed to donate. But if you also go to my channel and become a member, like if you see the join option on my channel, click that, and that's how you become a member. But yeah, that was the 16th Amendment. It says the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived without apportionment among the several states and without regard to any census or enumeration. I see super chat, the super sticker. Huh, I don't understand why it's not showing it. It should be able to show it. That's why. Thanks, Monster. Found it. But yeah, Wilson, I'm gonna put him into the D. I'll go ahead and throw him into the F. I'll go ahead and make that decision on Wilson. I'll throw him into the F tier. Um, he resided over the income tax. Uh he resided over the Federal Reserve Act, which created the Federal Reserve, and very, 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 very much instilled racial segregation and racism in the United States in between 1913 and 1965. Because most of that stuff that you hear about that was happening before 1965, most of that had started, especially like the Confederate monuments and everything, all of that started under Woodrow Wilson. And we finally get to the final man in the room, the elephant in the room, if you will. Donald John Trump. Donald Trump is a very okay president. I don't think his personality was the worst to deal with because he was basically like oh, I'm just going to like do whatever I want because and start Twitter fights. I'm not one to say that he was the smartest because he wasn't playing 3D chess. He wasn't playing or 4D chess. He wasn't great in terms of just like personality, but policy wise, he was great. I really liked his policy. I agree with what Lauren said. Amazing foreign policy. ISIS was defeated and created 4 million jobs. I definitely would not say he's an S tier. He is not an S tier. He's not an A tier. I would say that he just barely could be a B tier. So I'm going to go ahead and throw him into the B tier. I'm going to say that he was a solid B because, he got 3 Supreme Court justices into the Supreme Court. He nominated the most amount of federal court judges in history. Great foreign policy. He killed Qasem Soleimani. He negotiated with the North Koreans directly and got them to stop. He stopped illegal immigration to the United States. He instilled nationalism and populism in the population of the United States. And overall, I mean, he was pretty good. But his personality, if he didn't have the personality he did, he'd probably be up there with Nixon and Teddy Roosevelt and Coolidge and Monroe. But I don't know. He wasn't too smart. But on policy decisions, he was pretty smart. Military decisions, he was pretty smart. Some military decisions, not all. Some. Another thing about Trump that makes him a B, he cut taxes. But the thing about it is that he raised the deficit. He raised the debt. They said that it was going to cost $5 trillion by the end of his term. Ended up only costing about $1 trillion. He raised the national debt probably more than Obama ever did. Went from 20 trillion by the time he came in, about 27 trillion by the time he left. He raised the national debt by an astronomical amount. And look where we're at now. He built the wall. Positive. January 6th riot. I don't think that he told those people to do that. I think that was a stupid decision on the part of those people that committed the act. But I don't think that he said for them to do it. He was good in policy, but terrible personality. I agree. He also intentionally downplayed the pandemic. I'll say that his response to the pandemic wasn't as strong as it should have been. He probably would have saved his reelection chances if he had a stronger response to the pandemic. But I'll say this. Every president since George W. Bush has failed to prepare us for another pandemic. Because during the Bush administration, we had SARS. During the Obama administration, we had the swine flu. And especially Obama. I especially feel like that Obama, who had a pandemic on his watch, failed to protect us against another pandemic. And the Trump administration coming in, we had no threat of a pandemic. None of us even knew. A lot of us didn't. I knew what a pandemic was. I'd been saying for years that another pandemic was going to come in and was going to kill millions of people. And it happened. Bill Gates said that. A lot of experts said that it was going to happen. But why should we spend money on something that we don't even know it's going to happen? So people were ignorant before this pandemic hit. And now that we know what a pandemic is, now we can spend money on preparing for another pandemic. Because I feel like this one, and I've told people this before, this one is dress rehearsal for something else that is coming. It was the most politicized virus on the face of the planet, and that is embarrassing because the media wanted to politicize it, because the media jumped onto it and then wanted Trump to look bad because of his response. And that was the stupidest thing that has ever happened because everyone wanted to gain something off of this pandemic. And that's what led us into where we are at right now because everyone wanted to gain something off of it. They didn't care that millions of people were getting sick. They didn't care that millions of people were dying from this. They just wanted to gain something. You can't rank at least the past three presidents without bias. In my opinion. Yeah, I honestly feel like that I should wait to rank the last three presidents because we gotta wait to see what their effect on history is going to be. So I mean, yeah, I actually agree with that. Obama actually did leave a playbook. LOL. He left the playbook, but I read the playbook. All they could say is like, "Oh, we wrote this," but even their response was abysmal to the pandemic that they had during their watch during the Obama Biden administration. Yeah, they left the playbook, but it's kind of like me like writing you an essay on like how not to get stressed out at college. I've never been to college. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. I appreciate everyone joining me for the political process, but also appreciate everyone joining me for some tier presidential uh tier making. Yeah, 300 people that watch this live stream. So yeah, everyone go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you want to make a donation before I leave, go ahead and do that right now. Become a member of this channel if you have not. If you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe right now. I want to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of June or July, or by July 4th. So about a month from now. I feel like that's a good way to hit our goal. But yeah, share my channel, get people to subscribe to me. Join the Discord if you have not. Go ahead and join the Discord. I would like to have a discussion with people that uh, um would be interested in have discussions about politics, have discussions about anything. So yeah, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, share my channel. Let's get to 5,000 subscribers. I am doing a Power and Revolution giveaway at 5,000 subscribers. So let's get to 5,000 so we can have that giveaway. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Thank you so much for just being here. And I will see you guys in the Discord, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and take care.